Well, the Rams are back in Los Angeles, and you have a home here to check out all things Rams on Angels Radio AM 830 KLAA. I'm Pep Fernandez. Everybody knows this guy, former NFL legend Greg Bell, will be breaking down the Rams. We'll be talking Notre Dame football. It's all brought to you by the Chumash Casino Resort and, of course, our fine friends at Ford, Greg. And we're so excited to have the Southern California Association of Ford Dealers on board for the first annual Ford's Legends Community Show right here on AM 830 KLAA.
And you know how I got here, right?
In a Ford?
Of course.
Greg.
My Ford
what else
Energy.
Would you drive, right?
What else can I drive, man? It's the best car I've had probably in 20 years. You jump in here, you plug it in. You got to love the plug, Pep, because, when you got energy, use it. I get almost 50 miles to a gallon.
Well, you drive all over the place, Greg.
I drive all over the state. I think I'm always in my car, and I love being in my Ford Energy.
I'm waiting for mine. Tell them I'm ready whenever they want to roll it out. I'm waiting for mine. I'll be right in front of the Big A here.
Right in front of the Ford. Big A, having fun, waiting for me. Where are the plugs here at the Big A? I couldn't find them when I got in here this morning.
I know, right? We'll work on that. We'll talk to
Ford
about
we definitely
it, right?
gonna work on
Southern
that
California Association of Ford Dealers. Greg, we've got a lot to get to this season. A big show. We're heavy on the legends, right?
Definitely heavy on the legends.
We're going to talk to guys who, as a kid myself, these guys were our heroes. These were the stars of the National Football League, college football stars. You were one of them, Greg.
Yeah, I'm about to say, hold on a second. Wait, don't go too far.
I'm not calling you old. I'm just saying, we got legends.
Well, you know what? That's part of why we created this show. We want to hear what these guys are doing today. Want to see what their feelings are about the game today, how much it's changed. And I think one thing that you'll love and find out about a lot of these guys, these are just great people.
So, Greg, you played for the Bills. You played for the Raiders. You played for the Rams.
Played for the Rams.
The Rams are back. Are you excited about this?
You know what? We're so excited that the Rams are back. And that's another reason why we're down here in Orange County having a lot of fun. But we want to make sure that the Rams' tentacles reach everywhere, all the way down into San Diego. We want to have a lot of fun with the Rams, but we also want to have fun with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish because, let's remember, that is my home.
You grew up in Columbus, right?
Columbus, Ohio native.
The home of the Buckeyes, the Ohio State. How did you end up at Notre Dame?
Well, it's pretty simple, man. When you fire a coach like Woody Hayes, and mind you, he needed to be fired. But, I grew up with the Griffin family, so Archie was a big influence on me. And going to Ohio State, that was the first and only college game I'd ever seen in my life, and Coach Hayes made that possible for me. But it came down to basically, I tell people a lot of times, faith. And faith took me to Notre Dame, and I've loved it ever since.
Obviously, it worked out okay.
Oh, without a doubt. Not only did it work out, got drafted in the first round, but it's like a lot of things that you know what I do with my foundation here in Southern California. We talk to kids about life decisions. Part of those life decisions is choosing the right school to go to. And for me, Notre Dame was that school. It helped lead me to all the things that I was able to do. And I'm so happy to be here at 8:30 because they're the home of the Fighting Irish.
That's right. You can find Notre Dame football right here on Angels Radio AM 830. Plus, we're going to talk Rams all season long. We're going to be your pregame show to get you set for Rams football every single week here. Greg, when you look at the Rams, and we know they're back in Los Angeles, and we're going to get more into this later in the show, but they're young. Do you want to see them win now? Is the time now? They got Jared Goff. They sold the farm to get that number one overall pick.
They sold the farm, and that's the thing. You sold the farm, and at the time that they sold the farm, they let Nick Foles go. So it's a lot riding on this young man's arm, and he keeps going down every preseason game we've had so far.
The preseason hasn't looked good, and we're going to get into that later in the show because there's a lot of question marks right now regarding the Los Angeles Rams and who's going to start at quarterback. They're young. Is head coach Jeff Fisher in the hot seat? They got to win, right?
Yeah, they got to win. This is not a we're not a rebuilding.
Yeah.
That's the one thing the Rams can't be in a situation where they feel like they have to rebuild. They got to be prepared to play today.
All right, Greg, coming up in today's show, we're going to talk to Alan Pinkett, former Notre Dame star, now a broadcaster for the Fighting Irish, football legend,
Definitely
Earl Campbell. What a treat, right?
Yeah, you know what? Nothing better than the Tyler Rose.
And also Tony Hunter. So we've got a big show, legends all over the place, and it's all brought to you by our good friends at the Southern California Association of Ford Dealers and the Chumash Casino and Resort. You're still rocking that Ford, right, Greg?
Definitely. I'm rocking it all the way home.
And the good gas mileage?
Great gas mileage.
I'll be out at the Big A Ford. You can just drop it off. I'll be right out there by the big hats. You know where we're at.
You know.
We're here on Angels Radio AM 830 AM, and we'll be right back with more Legends Talk on the Legends Community Show brought to you by Ford.
It's the Ford Labor Day Sell-a-thon, and it's your chance to end the summer with that new car or truck you've been thinking about. The deals you could get are so good, so strong, we can't even mention them without scaring our lawyers. And upon approved credit, your Ford dealer will make financing your new car an easy, rewarding experience. The Ford Labor Day Sell-a-thon. Hundreds of choices of models, colors, and equipment. The Ford dealers want you to have what you want now.
There's a new game in town. The all-new Shumash Casino Resort. Now bigger, bolder, and more luxurious than ever. Our grand expansion features a dramatic new 12-story hotel tower, spectacular rooftop pool, giant gaming floor, and more. Amazing things are happening at Shumash Casino Resort in the Santa Barbara wine country. The new game in town. Visit shumashcasino.com.
Hey, Pep, I just got back from a private viewing of a new sports app from United Games. This app is sweet, man.
Really? What did you see, Greg?
I saw the first interactive app that no fantasy or sports game in the market today has.
You mean I get to call the play, run versus pass, punt or sneak?
Yep, but Pep has got so much more than that.
Wait, Greg, are you telling me I get to make the calls while the game is going on right in front of me?
Yep.
All right, Greg, I'm sold. How can I get this app and how much?
Well, right now, that's the beauty. You can only pre-register. But when this app hits the market in 4 weeks, you will be one of the first in line to get this free app.
Free?
Yep, I did. Free app. Just text APP to 66866.
Hold up, Greg. Give that to me one more time.
Just text app to 66866.
You're listening to the Ford Legends Community Show, brought to you by the Southern California Association of Ford Dealers and presented by the Chumash Casino and Resort right here on Angels Radio, AM 830 KLAA. Chumash, our dear, dear friends, Greg. I know you get along well with them and spend a little bit of money, right? A little bit.
Just a little bit of money. We don't spend too much, but I tell you what, the beauty of it is they've got a 5-star restaurant. They've got a beautiful casino, and you've got to see the expansion on the casino that's going in right now. They're raising the level to a whole new roof.
That's right, the casino and resort.
And the resort's beautiful, man.
A little something of it for everyone, the whole experience.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you what, if you haven't taken the ride up the coast to it, you need to do it soon.
So we can't thank the Chumash Casino and Resort enough for joining us here on the Ford Legends Community Show. We talk Rams. We also talk Notre Dame. The season is here, Greg, for the Fighting Irish, kicking off against the Texas Longhorns. This was a game last year. I had to look this up because I couldn't believe it. I had to look it up twice. They beat Texas 38-3.
Crushed them. Crushed them like you wouldn't believe, man. I was at that game, and it was a beautiful game.
South Bend, right? You were
South
there?
Bend, and it's just amazing. Now we still got the quarterback count controversy because of this game, to be honest.
Yeah, because last year we had, of course, we had Malik Zaire, right, who was one of the quarterbacks, and Deshaun Kaiser, who came in there and really did a great job. And now they've got two great quarterbacks, which I guess is a good problem to have, but who's going to get the ball?
It's a funny situation. I think any coach who's in that situation, I guess you could say they love it, that they at least know they've got two quality quarterbacks. But I don't think any coach really wants to be in a position where he doesn't name a starter. And, of course, Brian Kelly is kind of leaving everybody hanging out there because he's not going to name his starter until they get ready to start the game.
Right?
Well, you do it for a couple reasons because the guys got to, the team has to kind of get around the guy that they want to trust that's going to lead them down the battle. I remember when I was at Notre Dame and we were getting ready to start, we had myself and Phil Carter were, both listed as number one running backs. It drove us set, almost cuckoo fighting. You don't fight against each other, but you battling against each other. This is my brother in arms, but at the same time, you
both want to start.
We both want to start, and unfortunately for Kaiser last year, Malik beat him out. And I'll tell you what, Malik had one great game last year against Texas, and then got hurt the next week. But,
against Virginia.
Yeah, against Virginia. But it was one of those situations where he came out and played with such poise, man. And one thing's different. People don't understand the trajectory, but catching a ball from a left-handed person takes a little bit of getting used to.
Sure.
And those guys had gotten used to it. And that's another situation that people got to look at. That ball's coming from different angles. And who's catching the ball better, who's being able to see that trajectory is important to a lot of these guys.
Well, let me ask you this, Greg. I'll put you in head coach Brian Kelly's shoes. Mm-hmm. You don't want to lose a starting job based on an injury, right? So coming back this year, it's like, you know what? Malik Zaire started off great, probably would have had a great season. Give the job back to him, or is it another just competition battle in camp and into this first game of the season against the Longhorns?
Well, that's the one thing about college. Every year is a new beginning. You know, the guy who was he could have been the Heisman Trophy winning running back, and unless something, dramatic happens to him, he almost inherit that position. He's going to have it the next year. This is a completely different scenario. Kaiser had one hell of a game and one hell of a year for, the sophomore redshirt junior.
Yeah.
I don't know how you sit a guy who really took you almost to the national championship. Malik is sitting there. He's a redshirt senior, and he paid his dues. He did everything to win the position. But that was the old saying in the National Football League as well as in the college, is that you can't make the club in the tub. And so
he's setting ice baths, right? If you're not playing,
yeah,
you're
if you're
banged
not playing,
up.
You're just sitting there. And Malik has been sitting for a long time.
Yeah. He
wants an opportunity. I think Kelly is doing his best to try and give everyone an opportunity, but at some point, somebody's got to step forward and take the lead. My money right now is probably going to be on Kaiser.
So this game will be in Austin. We'll have to see who the Notre Dame Fighting Irish send out there to be the starting quarterback, but you think it's Kaiser?
I personally would say it's Kaiser, and in lieu of everything else that's going on back in Notre Dame, because we didn't even talk about the kids who got arrested.
Yeah.
You get all these outside distractions. This is just something else for them to think about on top of who are we going to start as our quarterback.
Yeah, distractions, a lot of expectations, too, a top 10 preseason team. They were number 11 last year when they finished the AP poll. This is a team that's got talent. The expectations are back. Notre Dame football's back on the map. They had some down seasons not too long ago, but the Fighting Irish now consistently in the AP top 10. And Brian Kelly, in his 6th year as the Notre Dame head football coach, really has resurrected the program. Wouldn't you say, when you talk Notre Dame, they're one of the premier programs.
Right. I think you'll hear when we get Earl Campbell out and a little later, these two teams are historically great. A lot of history between these two teams. So this game here is going to be played on a Sunday night, something that's different from most college games, and it's going to start the season off with a big bang. So the fact that Notre Dame is back into what I consider notoriety or back into respectability, it's going to be great for college football.
You mentioned you went to South Bend last year for this game against Texas. They got to roll out the red carpet for you, right? Greg Bell's in town. Send the limo. 5-star meal. It's Greg Bell, guys, right? Don't they do that? At least the Ford Fusion.
You know what they generally
bring out the Ford Fusion.
Bring out the Ford Fusion. If I get there, I better come out with the Ford F-350.
Yeah, which Earl Campbell's at once. Yeah. But they got to roll out they pride themselves on all the great football players that have gone through the Irish, and they're very proud of all that.
Without a doubt. I mean, the tradition that we've had is second to none. One of the greatest choices I think I actually made in life was deciding to go to the University of Notre Dame. The brotherhood, that team, that camaraderie is just like no other.
So Brian Kelly, 10-3 last year, leading the Irish. So the expectations are there. You said there are some distractions off the field going into this game against the Texas Longhorns. It's a Sunday night. It's a primetime game. I don't feel like it can get any bigger than this.
Well, I tell you what. These guys, last week or so, the 6 guys that got arrested, that kind of puts a damper on the situation because, of course, Max Redmond, who is Redfield, not Max Redmond, but Max Redfield is a Southern California guy. This is a Mission Viejo kid who has been in trouble in the past. Now he brings it again this year. When you get a distraction like that, there's just so much going on back at Notre Dame. That's probably my biggest question right now. Can they block out the distractions? I think they're a better football team than the University of Texas, especially after you look at the way they beat them last year. But when you have distractions of that nature, they can it can take the damper, take the sweetness off that tea that you're drinking, and hopefully they're not drinking the Kool-Aid.
Well, we got Earl Campbell coming up, and he's going to speak to the fact that Texas has been down. Like, Texas hasn't been Texas the last couple of years, but they're heading in the right direction beside that 38-3 drubbing to the Irish last season. But at least they're moving in the right direction, and this could be a good matchup. I mean, the TV guys aren't idiots. They put it in primetime for a reason. I mean, Notre Dame has a huge following.
Big primetime game. And, the thing about it, too, also is that, there's always a camaraderie when you play against a team that has a former coach. Charlie Strong actually coached with Lou Holtz back at Notre Dame and Urban Meyer. They had a great coaching staff back in the day. So it's going to be interesting to see how Texas is able to play against Notre Dame. And Charlie really wants to come in with a big bang this year.
That's just extra incentive, right? The deep roots that, they're all entangled together when the coaches and these coaching trees, they kind of sprout out all over the place between Texas and Notre Dame, right? I mean,
it is.
So we've got Notre Dame, we got Texas. It's a Sunday night primetime game. Notre Dame, like we said, high expectations, ranked. Guys are coming back, and really the quarterback question, I guess like the Rams, because everything hinges on the quarterback. I love the running backs, Greg, no offense, but it's all going to hinge on that quarterback, right?
Everything right now in the game of football centers around the quarterback, whether it's college or pros. They are paid the most. They have the most meeting time. They have the most study time. Everything centers around the quarterback, and hopefully Notre Dame can decide by game time. Let's face it, they got Brian Kelly's got a big decision, and somebody's going to be left out in the cold.
I know there's some other programs, for example, Alabama, who they like to keep all these things, their secrets, highly confidential. Nobody gets to know about who their quarterback's going to be.
Can't come in.
Do you think Kelly will keep it like that going into Texas?
You know what? He said he's going to make it a game time decision, so I got to take him on his word.
All right, so we've covered Notre Dame. We're going to talk more about the matchup against Texas. We got Rams a little further down in the show, but when we come back, I don't know how you did this, Greg, but you got Earl Campbell on the show. Did you pull some strings here?
I can pull a couple strings here and there.
All right, you're listening to the Ford Legends Community Show here on Angels Radio, AM 830 KLAA.
It's the Ford Labor Day Sell-a-thon, and it's your chance to end the summer with that new car or truck you've been thinking about. The deals you could get are so good, so strong, we can't even mention them without scaring our lawyers. And upon approved credit, your Ford dealer will make financing your new car an easy, rewarding experience. The Ford Labor Day Sell-a-thon. Hundreds of choices of models, colors, and equipment. The Ford dealers want you to have what you want now.
There's a new game in town. The all-new Shumash Casino Resort. Now bigger, bolder, and more luxurious than ever. Our grand expansion features a dramatic new 12-story hotel tower, spectacular rooftop pool, giant gaming floor, and more. Amazing things are happening at Shumash Casino Resort in the Santa Barbara wine country. The new game in town. Visit shumashcasino.com.
Hey, Pep, I just got back from a private viewing of a new sports app from United Games. This app is sweet, man.
Really? What did you see, Greg?
I saw the first interactive app that no fantasy or sports game in the market today has.
You mean I get to call the play, run versus pass, punt or sneak?
Yep, but Pep has got so much more than that.
Wait, Greg, are you telling me I get to make the calls while the game is going on right in front of me?
Yep.
All right, Greg, I'm sold. How can I get this app and how much?
Well, right now, that's the beauty. You can only pre-register. But when this app hits the market in 4 weeks, you will be one of the first in line to get this free app.
Free?
Yep, I did. Free app. Just text APP to 66866.
Hold up, Greg. Give that to me one more time.
Just text app to 66866.
For Texas, it is indeed a new-look Texas team. Here's Earl Campbell. That's the same look. 20, the 15, the 10. He'll score. Touchdown, Texas. Earl Campbell goes for the score. Steve Ball, the boundary play. You'll see the perfect balance of speed, power, and balance.
Wow, do we have a huge guest coming up here? And we're so excited about this because he's one of the best of all time here on the Ford Legends Community Show, brought to you by the Southern California Association of Ford Dealers and presented by the Chumash Casino and Resort. Greg, it doesn't get any better than this, just like the Chumash, right?
No, without a doubt. If you're a gamer or if you just want to have a great dinner, The all-new Chumash Casino Resort, now bigger, bolder, and more entertaining than ever. Come experience our grand expansion at the Chumash Casino Resort in Santa Barbara wine country, the new game in town.
Wherever you're at, it's a nice short drive and a beautiful drive up there, and it's God's country up there.
God's country.
All right, so Greg, I don't know how you got this guy. I guess you're well connected because you've got some friends in high places. This is one of the biggest names in NFL history, and we couldn't be more proud to have Earl Campbell joining us here on the Ford Legends Community Show. Hello, Earl. How are you doing today? Are you actually friends with Greg Bell?
Well, let me tell you, I think you said it correctly. Greg Bell knows a lot of people. He got friends in high places. He's unbelievable. He can find you if he wants to.
I appreciate it. And you know what? Without telling people why, all I want to do is thank the true Tyler Rose. You know, Earl's name is just, I tell people all the time, Earl, I love the nickname, the Tyler Rose, and you are truly the Rose of Tyler, Texas.
Hey, thank you. You know, I grew up growing roses in Tyler, where I'm from in Texas. We the rose capital of the world, and my family. My father grew us up in the rose business. My family had a rose business. I used to work in the rose business. And I have roses at my house here in Austin where I live. So,
and I know, and I saw the roses. Those are beautiful roses. And tell the missus I'm still loving the food that we had that evening.
Oh man, I will. It's you know, we try to do our best here, in Austin where we live, and my son, the one that went to San Diego State, Tyler, that has MS. We do a show every year,
right.
And I think when you was here, Joe Green and all those guys was down.
Yep,
Tony Dorsett.
TD was there as well.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
man.
a fabulous event.
So we do a big rollout every year for MS Foundation.
Right. Hey, Earl, one of the things I know we want to talk about before we jump into the Notre Dame game, because you're at Austin, just like you mentioned, and Texas, of course, is playing Notre Dame this Sunday. And it's the first night game, I think, not necessarily first night game, but a first Sunday night game at the University of Texas. Why do you think this game is so important as Texas starts the season?
Well, not only for Texas, I think it's very important for both universities. When you want to do something very big in Texas, we try to do it. When we do it, we do something very big to blow it out. And I think it's a pleasure that Notre Dame and Texas is playing, and two schools that once you talk about college football, you have to talk about the University of Texas as well as the University of Notre Dame. So I just believe they picked it to kind of just say, we're going to start college football off the right way. And I think it's going to be a great game, two great schools, and let's bring it on to Texas. I know Notre Dame has been getting the best of us, but we love Coach Strong. We love what he's doing with our young men, and that's teaching them more about just being a football player and thinking about going to the NFL, think about being a man right now, being respectful. And if it hadn't been for Coach Strong, I do believe the University of Texas name would be mentioned, and unfortunately a lot like Baylor, because Strong,
Earl, don't do that. Don't do that to him.
Yes, when he got here, no, I'm being real serious. When he got here and took over the job, after McBride had left, we could have won football games and just did it a little bit, but we would have been winners. And Coach Strong chose to get the program straightened up and get it on the right road, and we take our hat off to him, because if he hadn't, seriously, we would be just like talked about like Baylor University is right now.
Well, you know, I'm not going to give you a hard time because Charlie came out of the Notre Dame system as well.
Well, yes, I do know he coached up there with Lou Holtz, and Coach Strong is an unbelievable man. I mean, I spent a lot of time with him. I talk with him, and he's a man's man, but he's America's man.
Now, you got a quarterback there now, Gerard Hurd, who came out a couple years ago. I remember him because my son was being recruited to Texas as well, and Gerard was probably the best quarterback the state had seen from a dual action standpoint since Vince Young. And now I'm hearing he's playing wide receiver for Texas.
Well, I think Coach Strong is making a decision on what's best for the young man. I don't play football anymore. As you know, I'm a Monday morning running back, and I can tell you all the things they need to do from the sideline. But strong is getting him to play Spurlin because that's best for him. That's where he can go, I think, in the long run, even though he's great at quarterback, too.
That's good. Now, Earl, before we get talking on the legends, I was joking with Pep, and I was telling him about your barbecuer. Tell the people here in California how the Texas people do barbecue right.
Well, not only do we, Texas people, you come to Texas, everybody think you're known for the biggest, and we brag, and we do this, and we. There is one thing we can't do, and that is barbecue. And I was telling Sid, the entertainer, the entertainer, because he's from Kansas City.
Right.
I saw him out at the Pump Foundation the other day, and we was talking. I said, "Oh, you from that up there in Kansas where y'all think y'all can barbecue?" He bust out laughing, said the entertainer, but yes, we barbecue down here. We do it the right way.
Man, I hope we can get a picture of your barbecuer. I've been just telling people you got a barbecuer the size of a train.
Oh yeah, I have my barbecue pit is I don't know, I think it's the caboose of the train.
Right.
And on one side of it I have 2 deep fryers and a flat grill for hamburgers. But the other 3 doors are all for brisket, ribs, sausage, like that.
Well, let me talk about the legends. Let's talk about being a legend, because as I was telling Pep, I go, you are one of the few guys that truly, I don't know too many rookies who come into the league and win the most valuable player and lead the league in rushing, and then you do it a second time, and then you do it a third time. When you look at the way the game is being played, Earl, today, would you play the game with the same reckless abandon that you did when you played?
I tell you this, I really don't think if I played football now, I would be productive as our team were back then, because I don't think I could run 2 or 3 plays, come to the sideline, run. I think Bum Phillips and our team knew this, that I was kind of like a racehorse, it's the more I do it, the better we got at it, our offense and stuff. And I think they knew that about me. And I had to have that ball in my hand 27, 25 times to get that steam. And right when the ball game was over, it looked like to me it was getting to be fun when the fourth quarter ended. But now they spend too much energy running on the field, running off the field. I don't think I could do that. I believe I would have to be out there. But, yes, I had some very good years with the Houston Oilers, and that's because our leader, Bum Phillips, and Bum Phillips' football team was all about anything but I. If you had an I in you, Bum Phillips got you off our football team.
Got you off. Hey, Earl, can I hold you on for another segment?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. Because one of the things I want to talk about is Bum Phillips, because when you look at the coaches today, they're not the characters like Buddy Ryan and Bum Phillips. But stay with us, Earl. We'll get back to that a little bit because I really want to hear some of the stories about Bum Phillips, because I've heard so many about you. Larry tells me about, I don't know how much I need to hear, but he tells me everything I need to know about about Earl Campbell, the Tyler Rose, about coming off the field, and that was another thing.
About Piccolo.
Oh, Piccolo. Earl, we're going to be coming right back with you. Just hold tight, don't move. We're going to come back right here on the Rams. The legends.
The Ford legends. You rode in a Ford, Greg. You know Ford.
Oh man, come on. Don't pound me on it, but we're gonna talk about Ram legends. We're gonna talk about the Oilers. And I with the fact that nobody even talks about the Oilers in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge deal. Earl Campbell was the face of that program. When we come back, more with the great Earl Campbell and a lot more about the Rams and Notre Dame coming up here on the Ford Legends Community Show on Angels Radio, AM 830 KLAA.
It's the Ford Labor Day Sell-a-thon, and it's your chance to end the summer with that new car or truck you've been thinking about. The deals you could get are so good, so strong, we can't even mention them without scaring our lawyers. And upon approved credit, your Ford dealer will make financing your new car an easy, rewarding experience. The Ford Labor Day Sell-a-thon. Hundreds of choices of models, colors, and equipment. The Ford dealers want you to have what you want now.
There's a new game in town. The all-new Shumash Casino Resort. Now bigger, bolder, and more luxurious than ever. Our grand expansion features a dramatic new 12-story hotel tower, spectacular rooftop pool, giant gaming floor, and more. Amazing things are happening at Shumash Casino Resort in the Santa Barbara wine country. The new game in town. Visit ShumashCasino.com.
This is Greg Bell, and I just left Las Vegas in the United Games World Launch Party for their new sports football app. This is the first football app of its kind that lets you interact and experience the game like no other sports fantasy game on the market today. This new sports app will be hitting the mobile market device in less than 4 weeks. If you want to be one of the first individuals to play this exciting new app, text APP to 66866. Again, just text app to 66866.
And welcome back to the Ford Legends Community Show, brought to you by the Southern California Association of Ford Dealers and presented by the Shumash Casino and Resort. Great show so far. It's only going to get better as we bring Earl Campbell back onto the show. And Greg, we got here to the studio right here at Angel Stadium, and you were rocking the Ford, and I'm super jealous about it.
Rocking the Ford, rocking the energy Ford. Don't get it wrong now. There are fusions and there are fusions. I've got the top line.
Hey, Greg, you drive one of them Ford 350s, one of them big trucks. That's what I wish I had. That's what I wish I had down here on my ranch, one of them Ford 350s.
One of those big Ford 350s.
Hey, Greg, I was going to talk to you about you. Y'all had the Rams back up there in California.
Yeah, and that's what we want to talk to you about. The fact
I happened to be looking at the game the other night a little bit preseason when they was playing Kansas City.
Uh-huh.
And I kept trying because I had just left him in California, like I said, at the Pump Foundation.
Right.
And Eric Dickerson got an award. Did I not hear Eric Dickerson doing some broadcast?
Yeah, he's doing the preseason for the Ram. Him and Marshall Faulk are doing.
And I would tell you something. I think that's great. Just because they're back in L.A., I'm so happy they got Eric involved because that's what these teams need to do to teach these younger guys that's coming into the league. They need to see some Eric Dickerson, Marcus Allen, and those kind of people around those teams that play for those teams. Because even though the managers, the owners, and they have a VP and they have this guy, those guys want to talk to an Eric Dickerson or a Marcus Allen or somebody that played the position and knows the organization.
Yeah, we've got a few guys, Earl.
I'm very happy for Eric being involved in there.
Yeah. Now, let me talk to you about that because let's talk about the legends from a standpoint. Of course, we talked about your barbecue business, things of that nature, but that's one of the things that you probably better than anyone can understand that once the team leaves, how they're remembered because, the Oilers left and they've never gotten a team that even talks about using the name Oilers. We are fortunate here in Los Angeles to get a team back that's our original team, the Los Angeles Rams. What do you think about the Legends community back in Houston where you made your name for yourself, but do they still talk about the Oilers?
Well, no. As far as I'm concerned, Greg, not that I need it, but I did play in the NFL. I played with some very great guys and coaches. We never hear nothing about an Earl Campbell. We never hear nothing about a Bum Phillips, Conway Hayman, or Robert Brazile, who needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
We never hear about that. And I think one of the reasons Robert Brazile has not gotten into the Hall of Fame is because there are no more Oilers.
Right.
And you know how it is. Sometimes I just feel like, not that I need it because, I move on from one thing to the next, but it would be nice to hear more about what you've accomplished It would be good for your family. It would be good for your grandson to hear about Pops, see what Pops did and stuff.
Well, that's why I got you on the show.
You never hear the NFL talk about nothing about the Houston Oilers. It's like it's something that never happened. It's like those 3 MVPs I won. You never hear about that. It's gone, and I'm just happy that Avery Dickerson is the Rams organization that went back and got a great one like Avery Dickerson, and there's another great one, Jackie Slater.
Yeah. Orlando Pace, Jerome Bettis.
Alonzo Pace, who just got into Hall of Fame. Those guys could do a lot of good, but these NFL teams, they spend all their time, guys that ran Jack in the Box and all these people, instead of getting guys involved in it. That's the one thing I'll say about the NBA.
Right.
My wife talks to me about it all the time. They pay attention to their ex-players, but the NFL, I don't know what it is. They just figure like we'll use Earl and get him on out of here and say goodbye. And, and you see that over and over. Well, when you get 60 years old like I am and don't have anything to say, but, hey, I think the NFL needs to do more of an Eric Dickerson or Jackie Slater, getting them involved in those organizations.
Hey, Earl, Pep Fernandez here. Can I draw the conclusion that you follow the Texas Longhorns maybe a little bit more closely than maybe you do the NFL games on Sunday? Do you love the college game a lot more?
I follow college football in general more than I follow pro football. And, yes, the Longhorns, I tell every people this, that the good Lord, the University of Texas, and my family, and that was campus over in Tyler where I was raised, everything I've accomplished in life, I owe to those 3 people.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Hey, Earl, give me your best Bum Phillips story.
Well, Bum Phillips took a lot of pride in getting up every morning at around 9:30, 10 o'clock in front of the team, and he give you this speech, and hardly none of the speech for about 35, 40 minutes was about football. It was about going to the hospital, visiting the kids, making sure you share with your family, take care of your business, sign the kids' autograph, anything to do, didn't have to do with football. Well, 1 year, these veterans, and I was on the team, but I wasn't part of that part of it. I didn't get this rookie named John Corker, and they took him out, and I'm sure they had a few drinks. You know what they do with a rookie?
I know.
Veterans. Well, this guy, the next morning, now everybody that's been on the team, I've been on the team 3 years at that time, so I knew better. These guys, Vernon Perry and J.C. Wilson, that messed with Corker, and Corker was over there asleep, and he was just snoring. So guys kind of were looking at him sniggering. So Bum finally heard him. Hey, this is Bum. Wake that young man up over there. They woke him up, and Bum was fussing at him and fussing at him. So Corker, after Bum got to talking to him, he raised his hand up and said, Coach, can I say something at the end? Bum said, yeah, what do you want to say? He said, Coach, I wasn't asleep in the meeting. I was praying for the team. Man, I tell you, we went crazy in that meeting, but Bum Phillips was a great guy. That's why his son up there at Denver, they think that this is something new for Wade.
Right.
Wade was very good. He was the defensive line coach when I was with the Oilers, so I mean, he's just been that family is a great family. We lost Bum, of course, but if there's anything, I lost my father when I was in the 5th grade. So if I had anything close to a father outside of my dad, it was Bum Phillips.
Okay. Well, that's great. Hey, now I've got to ask a story and tell me if this story is true because I was reading it as well. Of course, Walter's record stood for so many years before Emmitt Smith broke the record, but Earl Campbell ended like 70 yards short. And I heard just by chance that Earl Campbell came off the sideline and said, send the backup guy in, I'm done. Is that a true story?
Yes, in a way. Bum Phillips came over to me after 100 and some yards, and Bum never knew my name was Earl Campbell, by the way. My name to him was EC from the first day I met him in 1978 when he drafted me. So he came to the sideline. He said, EC, you need these amount of yards to get the record. What do you think? I said, Coach, if it's okay with you, when I came on the team, I took a guy's position named Ronnie Colvin.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Coach, would you let Ronnie play? He said, if that's what you want, EC, I'll do it. So Ronnie had a chance to play. We was going to win the ball game anyway.
Well, hey, Earl, let me tell you what. We got to get out of this segment here. But
I know,
hey.
but I want to tell you something, man. It's an honor, and I know you called me to talk about the Notre Dame game a little bit. But Notre Dame in Texas is going to have a very good game. Y'all been getting the best of us. Y'all even got the best of us when you beat me at the national championship with Joe Montana and Ross Brown, all those guys. But I look forward to the game. I think it's going to be a great football game, and I hope it's great for Coach Strong and for our university. We need to win. Coach Strong, we need to do a lot better here, and he's got us on the right track. And I just hope the public enjoy.
Hey, we thank you, and I appreciate you calling in, man. I appreciate a whole lot. Take care.
Bill. Keep driving that 450.
And we'll be right back here on the Ford Legends Community Show on Angels Radio, AM 830 KLAA.
It's the Ford Labor Day Sell-a-thon, and it's your chance to end the summer with that new car or truck you've been thinking about. The deals you could get are so good, so strong, we can't even mention them without scaring our lawyers. And upon approved credit, your Ford dealer will make financing your new car an easy, rewarding experience. The Ford Labor Day Sell-a-thon. Hundreds of choices of models, colors, and equipment. The Ford dealers want you to have what you want now.
There's a new game in town. The all-new Shumash Casino Resort. Now bigger, bolder, and more luxurious than ever. Our grand expansion features a dramatic new 12-story hotel tower, spectacular rooftop pool, giant gaming floor, and more. Amazing things are happening at Shumash Casino Resort in the Santa Barbara wine country. The new game in town. Visit ShumashCasino.com.
This is Greg Bell. I just witnessed the launch of the new United Game Sports app that will be hitting the market in 4 weeks. This is what Chris from Kansas City had to say.
Aside from the app being interactive, the most impressive thing about the app is that it is user-friendly and intuitive.
These are real individuals, and this new app will hit mobile devices in less than 4 weeks. If you want to be the first to play this exciting app, text APP to 66866. Just text app to 66866.
Welcome back to the Ford Rams Legends Community Show, brought to you by the Southern California Association of Ford Dealers and presented by the Chumash Casino and Resort. This segment brought to you by United Games. If you've been waiting to make the call, the time is now. I know all those fantasy football guys out there, they love it. It's a huge deal right now, Greg.
It's a big app that's coming, man, but probably not as big as Earl thinks my car is, because he started talking about that Ford 350.
I know. He thinks you're driving a big old pickup. You're actually in the POV lane, right? I mean,
I'm in the diamond lane, man, and he wants me in a big truck.
Yeah.
And Ford makes a beautiful 350, and Earl, I think, has one parked in his driveway as well.
So. Big truck, Texas. Big truck. They do it all big in Texas, right?
I'm telling you, we didn't get a chance to really dive into it, but man, this barbecue is a smoker. And I'm not lying. They literally cut the top of the caboose of a train, and they made the train itself. It's a giant. I'm talking about smoker. 25 feet long, 30 feet long. And it pops open, and it's a smoker that he can cook all kind of barbecue, man. You would die if you saw this thing.
Is he feeding an army, or what do you...
You know what? He's got Earl Campbell sausage back there in Texas, man. We didn't get a chance. I mean, I told you before. I told you, if we had Earl on for an entire hour, we'd just sit and talk. He's a good old boy, man. He's a true Texas good old boy.
And Earl brought up the Rams. He's excited that the Rams are returning home, I guess you could say, to Los Angeles. And Greg, we were at training camp. We went to some of the preseason games. A lot of question marks with this team. There's a lot of excitement that they're back in Southern California, but still there's a lot of stuff that's still up in the air as we head into their first game of the season. Naturally, we kind of touched on it, and we want to revisit that. The fact that they traded away all those draft picks to go number one, get Jared Goff out of California, but it doesn't look like he's going to be ready to be the starting guy.
Well, I think one of the things that I think leads to this incomplacency or whatever you would like to call it is the fact that he doesn't have a veteran leader in front of him. The fact that Minion and Case Keenum is ahead of him, none of them really have the kind of experience to really pass it along to tutor him. And so I think
Keenum has a little bit of experience, but not a lot. And Mannion's still a new guy himself.
Yeah, but the part about Case is the fact that when he did get in there, he really didn't compete at the type of level that you want to see out of him. So what is he passing on to the younger guy at this point? And I think what you're seeing is a team that's kind of in flux. And unfortunately and fortunately, I think you have to say it both ways because they're going to have to put the ball in Todd Gurley's hand a heck of a lot. Kind of like Earl Campbell.
Anyways, right?
Say that again?
That's going to be the offense anyways. Who's going to hand the ball off to Todd Gurley?
You can't win in the NFL doing that anymore. I think that's what Earl was trying to explain to that. He was a 30 carry guy. He didn't really start pounding it till about 20. And so, they've done everything at training camp this summer. They don't hit. They don't do a lot of things. So you were asking me about Gurley, and I just said, hey, I don't know.
I haven't seen him in action.
I haven't seen him. Yeah. But when we did see him, he showed the flashes that made him a Rookie of the Year last year. And Aaron Donald is doing the things defensively that he needs to do. But I think part of the biggest thing for Jeff Fisher is he's got to get continuity. And these guys really have to start playing like veterans. Unfortunately, this isn't school anymore. This isn't middle school, high school. This is the pros, and everybody has to pull their weight. And I think this team is really going to have to step up and start pulling their weight.
If I had to do a quarterback depth chart, I think I'd put Goff number 3 because Sean Mannion's actually looked kind of good in those preseason games. If you put value in preseason games, but he's actually looked pretty decent. So
we really haven't got a chance to see Dylan Thompson as much, but it's one of those situations where, unfortunately, for a lot of guys, going into this week is the cut down week. So by the end of this week, we'll see what the cut downs are. But come Monday morning, we're going to know who that 50-plus man roster is, and nobody carries 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And man, I don't know. I can't tell you right now if Jared Goff is going to be able to get out there and perform under fire. But right now, he's just got to stay healthy because he's getting beat up a lot.
So the quarterback's a question mark. We know Todd Gurley's going to be the guy coming out of the backfield. Greg, you can speak to this. The running backs are kind of coddled during training camp, right? They don't want to be banged up. They don't see a lot of action because they want to be ready.
The running backs, now watch it now. Don't.
But no,
everybody is coddled in this team right now.
We're living in a different world, right, from when you were in training camp.
Man, I told you, I got actually injured. I herniated my disc in my back in practice, not in the game. These guys, I think it's a great CBA. If I wish that CBA was around back in the 80s and 90s when I was playing.
In your career, yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. But I mean, the thing about these guys, man, they've got it so fortunate, but at the same time, they've got to prepare themselves for being hit and tackling. Because remember the first game, I told you, that first preseason game against the Raiders, they didn't perform defensively. They didn't wrap up. So all of a sudden, I think Greg Williams lit the fire on them. And I don't know if you've been out there and watched Greg. I mean, this guy has a lot of intensity. I can see why he was one of one of the highest paid and one of the most in-demand defensive coordinators because he's got passion that is overwhelming.
So Gurley went for 1,100 yards, 1,106 to be exact, as a rookie last year. He might be called on to carry the offense, right? Depending what's going on at quarterback and the receiving core.
Did you say might?
He will, right?
That's not even a question.
He's the nucleus of that offense.
You know what? He is. Everything is centered around making sure that Gurley is able to run the ball and run the ball efficiently. And unfortunately, one of the other, I guess you can say, sad points for Goff right now is that he's got receivers that are dropping balls.
Yeah.
And when you got receivers dropping ball, and this guy is they're dropping balls, he's trying to build his confidence up. How do you build your confidence up when you see incomplete passes and you hit him in the hands? This team has got to get together on one accord, from Tavon Austin to Kenny
Kenny Britt. Yeah.
They all got to step up and start making the plays that professionals make. And I think
help Goff out, like you said.
You got to help him out.
Yeah.
It's different. People talk about, well, Joe Montana and Drew Brees. Let's remember, they had quality receivers they were throwing to. Brees got to throw to a guy by the name of Randy Moss, who's probably going to be going into the Hall of Fame in the next 2 years. And don't only talk about the rest of them. Wes Walker. These are good, sure-handed receivers. That's what the Ram needs from their receiving core right now. They need to catch the simple balls. I understand the hard ball to catch, but the simple ones that hit you in the hand, as Henry Ellert, Flipper Anderson, Ron Brown, and those guys would have told you, you got to catch those balls and you make it happen. Hey, Isaac Bruce is in the Hall of Fame because he caught those balls.
Now, we're not trying to pass judgment here on Jared Goff. I mean, we're only 3 preseason games into his NFL career, but if you look at it, the big picture, Greg, you got Aaron Donald on the defensive line. You got Gurley in the backfield. Who knows what's going to happen with Goff? Maybe he'll pan out. Maybe he's the next Tom Brady. We just don't know it yet. If we can be patient, this could be a pretty good team going forward. They're young, and they've got talent.
They got talent, abundance of talent and speed. The one thing they have to do is start fulfilling those dreams. They got to play with the intensity that Greg Williams has, and they got to play like Jeff Fisher always tell them, with reckless abandon. And so I'm really interested to watch these guys when the season starts, because guess what? We're going to be starting this season on a Monday night, guys. Starting the game on Monday night in San Francisco, one of the greatest teams of NFL histories. You don't want to go in there, and they're interconference rivalry. You got to go in there with a lot of tenacity and shut that crowd up immediately.
Greg, we're losing time real quick. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Hard Knocks, filming at training camp real quick. Is that a good thing? I mean, what happens if video cameras were following Greg Bell around training camp?
No, that wouldn't happen.
It'd be a bad scene.
You know what? They have it. I'm not super into the whole Hard Knocks. I'd rather them keep that knocked out back in the back room, but
keep it behind closed doors,
Keep
right?
it behind closed doors, man.
All right. Well, that was our very first Ford Legends community show here on Angels Radio AM 830 KLAA. A big shout out to Earl Campbell. Man, awesome guy, one of the greatest of all time. And our friend Alan Pinkett. You can catch Notre Dame football here on the station as well. Greg, pretty good maiden voyage, I would say.
Yeah, very good.
So a lot more Fighting Irish and Rams football talk coming up right here on the one and only Ford Legends Community Show, brought to you by the Southern California Association of Ford Dealers and presented by the Chumash Casino and Resort. We'll see you next time here on Angels Radio, AM 830 KLAA.